So, hello and a very warm welcome to our second webinar of the day. My name is Daniel Mars. I work in development and design, and I'm therefore responsible for Fast Flat, our flat roof system. And that's exactly what today's session is about. It's going to be really interesting. We have new components, new upgrades for Fast Flat, and I have the honor of presenting them to you today. So, let's get started straight away. Our Fast Flat. The main key facts, just to whet your appetite again. Here we have our base rail, as you can see, pre-assembled exactly as shown in detail with the eaves adapters, both eaves adapters, the ridge adapter, and our base rail. This is exactly how it arrives on the pallet when it gets to you. Here we have up to 50% lower logistics costs. How can we achieve that? As you can see in the picture here, we have a pallet with up to 200 base rails that can be delivered. This means, if you do the maths, we could install up to 100 kilowatt, so up to 100 kilowatt could be installed with just €1 pallet. From a logistics point of view, that's obviously a dream, and it's a major key fact of the Fast Flat. Furthermore, quite typically, we have our innovative click system, which leads to a 50% time saving during installation. We have our connector, our base shoe. Here you can see, again, how brilliantly simple it is. Just a click, and that's how our system works. More time saved. You also don't need any tools for laying our base rails or installing our base shoes. So, the aim is to keep everything as simple and tool-free as possible. Another major advantage here is that you always have the same connector, always the same base rail, and for installation, all you'd need now is a module clamp. So, we're down to just 3 components, and we can already clamp a module. And of course, SREK stands for quality, so it's 100% made in Germany. That's important to us, exactly. Okay, that's it for the key facts. Just a quick overview to whet your appetite for our Fast Flat. Let's move on to the new features and upgrades. Let's move on to the next point. Thank you very much. And that is our Fast Flat ground shoe anchor. Let's take a closer look at it. This is what it looks like, our first new component. This part was developed for connecting to the roof. This means that, with Fast Flat, we have a purely ballasted system. This means that we use ballast bags, ballast stones or weights to weigh down our system and prevent it from being lifted off. Now, we could replace this, especially for roofs that can no longer take any additional load. That's exactly why we've developed our ground shoe anchor, so we can completely do without ballast and connect directly to the roof. So, could you please switch back to the... Exactly, thank you very much. This way, we can practically ensure that our system, with the help of components like ours, let's say a roof anchor, is basically welded onto the flat roof system, integrated directly with the membrane, and, if necessary, also screwed directly into the substructure of the flat roof and, of course, welded again at the top. We can now ensure this connection with our slotted hole here on the base shoe anchor. And, we could, without having to use the shoe, the anchor, we could also use our hanger bolt attachment, but of course, we would have to make sure that everything is properly welded and sealed at the top. Again, what does it look like during installation and in use? We have, similar to the base shoe, which look almost identical, and in some cases even use the same components. We can apply them in detail. Here we have our base shoe, and on the right, our base shoe anchor. As you can see, we have our plastic plate at the bottom, and above it, our mounting plate. These are two identical parts in both components. And now, with the base shoe anchor, the new part comes into play, which is riveted on as well. This is a metal plate, essentially serving as a direct connection. Exactly for the actual connection for our post-screw attachment, or the anchors that are welded on. We have this elongated hole here for installation. It is simply pushed through here with the threaded rod and secured at the top with a nut. What does that look like during installation? We take our base shoe anchor. Here we have our cutouts for additional base shoes in the floor rail. And now we can simply choose one of the cutouts, approach it like this, press down until it clicks. And we're already installed. So, as you can see, it can be installed without tools. Simple and secure. And now, we grab our roof connection as well, depending on where it is positioned. Here we have our threaded rod sticking out, and now we can simply use the threaded rod along with an additional nut and washer to secure the whole thing here. Since you can mount up to 3 more base shoes along the rail, we can also install up to 3 more base shoe anchors here, or stagger them as needed. So, you could now place it here in the middle, here on the outside, or on the other side. Exactly, another feature of the base shoe anchor. Because we now have this cantilever here, it also allows us to equip the whole thing with a cable duct. Or, yes, entirely as you wish, depending on what you might want to mount on the side of our fast flat. Here, for example, is a cable duct. Up here, on the sheet metal, we have various cutouts. Firstly, of course, as already mentioned, our slotted hole. Secondly, we also have pre-drilled holes here for self-tapping screws. You can see them here in detail. Exactly. And in this way, you could very conveniently place our cable duct on top, screw it in, and have, right next to the flat roof system, our cable routing, which also doesn't sit in water. Of course, that's a major advantage in this regard. If that's not enough for you and you want to mount additional cable ducts one after the other as you wish, we have a solution for that as well. In fact, we can use our cross-product item here, our cross connector, and could also, here you can see it again in detail, and we could also mount our cross connector here. This gives us the option to even mount a base shoe anchor here, and then connect everything with one of our rails, thus creating a sheet above the water where we can lay cables or set up frames. And yes, that's a major feature in this regard. And as you can see, everything is cross-product compatible. We always use the same components. The anchors are very versatile in their application. We could mount them at any position here. Exactly, a big advantage. Let's move straight on to the next component. Because this is not just a new component, but also a major new feature of the fast flat. Namely, our system is now capable of carrying lightning current. For this, we've carried out a test, and all we need for it is a lightning current screw, our connecting screw. You can see it here. In detail, it's very small. And, of course, works, just like all our other screws with the Cox 40 on the fast flat. This is now required to ensure the system can carry lightning current. What does the whole thing look like? For this, I've brought along a small model. Here you can already see one of these screws installed. This means that now, if we take a closer look at it in detail, exactly, thank you very much. We have now provided drill holes at both ends of our floor rails, just as we did with our floor shoe. Here on the side, we have 2 such holes. on the left and right. And these are precisely for our screws. This means we connect two rails together, as usual, with our floor shoe, and can now fit two of our lightning current screws here. I can quickly demonstrate that for you now. On the outside, we have a larger cutout, and on the inside, the sheet metal is practically clamped together. This way, we create a load-bearing connection, just as usual, with our Torx 40-bit. And with that, we've essentially ensured our load-bearing capacity. This is only needed on one side. That means 2 screws per connection point are sufficient. It's not needed on the other side, but since all our parts are mirror symmetrical, you could, depending on space and convenience, simply choose which side to mount it on. Good. Another big advantage is that this is not a self-drilling screw. This means that, especially on flat roofs, due to sensitive coatings, flat roof membranes, we don't have any cutting, so no chip formation. That's a big advantage. Also important to mention, the tightening torque here is 2 Newton meters, and the most interesting thing about it, it is available immediately. Okay, let's move on to the next component. This also has to do with lightning, with lightning current, and specifically, it's our new lightning protection clamp, the A2 top. Please show it in detail. It looks like this, works on all our products. Comes with our usual clamp down here, so we can also mount the whole thing on rails, as well. And the big advantage, especially for flat roofs. Here too, we are certified for lightning current carrying capacity, and another major benefit, we can clamp 6 square millimeter copper or aluminium wire here, 8 millimeter wire, 10 millimeter wire, and also 6 millimeter wire can be clamped. So, as you can see, we can cover all the common wire diameters. What does it all look like when installed? If you could, please. Exactly, that's right, thank you. Here, we can simply clip the clamp onto our recesses at the top, as you can see. Then it looks like this. Up here we have a Torx 40 screw, as usual. And now we can also clamp our wire in here. I'll demonstrate that now. Exactly, and that's all there is to it. As you can see, it holds very firmly. This is load-bearing, we've tested it. And, yes. Also, the big difference. You've already seen it here, this is a copper wire. We can now also clamp this because, well, since you mustn't clamp aluminium with copper, we have this lightning protection clamp here, as the name suggests, A2. Okay. Exactly. Let's move on to the next component, please. Exactly. Our next highlight. Our FastVAD removal tool. Please show it in detail. To dismantle our FastVAD, when necessary, to remove our shoes and tabs, we have a new tool, here, with a bit holder at the back, and, a claw. Yes, it now resembles a dragon, and you could actually use it at the end of the working day to open a nicely chilled bottle of Spezi. Works brilliantly as well. You could even attach it as a gimmick to the spanner. Exactly. How does it all work? I can show you how it works. You can basically use any standard bit attachment, or you can use our screwdriver with a bit holder on top. It looks like this, and is now available from us, including various bit attachments. And up here, we could now insert our dismantling tool. The whole thing then looks like this, very handy. Exactly. How does this work during assembly? Here in the base shoe, we have our tabs, which are responsible for our click system, our connection points, so to speak. And now we could, in practice, approach these from the side. I just need to turn the camera so you can see it. Now, you could basically grip it from the side with the tool, go as far as the end face, and just like that, we've bent a tab perfectly parallel. It then looks like this. We would need to do the same on the other side. And there you go, we're already done. And now, in principle, we could undo the entire connection. Now, once more, together with our base rail. The whole thing works like this. You'd need to show it in detail so you can see it properly. I'll just move over a bit. That's it. Then you basically go in. With the tool, bend the tab out to the end face. And do the same on the other side. And just like that, we could easily dismantle our shoe. We could also reset the whole thing with the same tool, basically resetting the tab. Now, the tip at the front comes into play. We more or less grip the top with the claw. We also have a stop up here, which means you can't go wrong. And you bend the tab until the jaw of our tool meets the bottom. And with that, we've basically already bent the first tab perfectly to the right size. Of course, we need to do the same on the other side. And then, we can use our click system again. Right, our tool is available immediately and, as mentioned, fits into any bit holder. A big advantage. And optionally, of course, you could also purchase our screwdriver with bit attachments. Very important, the Torx 40 is, of course, also included. And, yes, exactly. Well, I think that's it for our innovations, for our new fast tread components. I'd also like to draw your attention to, next week, we will also be at Intersolar, specifically, in Hall A6 at stand 260. Sorry, 240. That's right. And with that, I'll say goodbye. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat or send them to sales@sreag.de, and we will be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.